everyone, and welcome to Mock the Week. I'm Dara Breen. Joining me this week are Andy Parsons, Ava Vidal and Miles Jupp, Chris Addison, Hugh Dennis and Carl Donnelly. We'll start with a round called Headliners. Here's a picture of the Chancellor of the Exchequer, George Osborne, pounding the streets recently. But what does CFIP stand for?
Is it just a list of things that will be affected by the cuts? Is it children, families, industry, people?
Is it, in fact, his security code name, Charlie Foxtrot Irritating Prick?
Is it chipolata found in pocket?
Is it a recipe that he's just thinking of cooking that night? Is it caviar and fig-infused partridge?
Is it cops find iPhone pervert?
I reckon it must be a clever fellow in plimsolls.
Is it just pointing out what he's going through, which everyone goes through when they jog, which is clammy forehead, itchy privates?
Is it all part of his health regime? Is it Chancellor's finger inspects prostate?
Hey, all men over a certain age should have their prostate checked. That's just something we at Mock the Week support. Can I move you towards the much duller but correct answer?
It is Chancellor Flea's immense pigeon.
Yeah. It's more dull than that story.
OK. Yeah. It is Chancellor faces increased pressure.
It's close enough. That'll do fine. Well done. Thank you very much. Cheers. Yes, the answer I was looking for was Chancellor facing increasing pressure. This is the news that Chancellor George Osborne is under increasing scrutiny as the British economy fails to improve. He also faces calls for an immediate implementation of new banking reforms and renewed arguments over the 50p tax rate. Have the bankers been let off the hook by the banking reforms, do we think?
Kind of, because they don't have to... it's all about them ring-fencing stuff. They've got a ring-fencing, which is the most dangerous event at the Olympics. I am totally representing Britain.
Basically, the gist, and this is the best analogy I could come up with for banking reform at the moment, which is you've got two halves of the office, right? The retail half, let's say, and the investment half, and they've got one biscuit tin, right? And the retail half take biscuits out of the biscuit tin, and they put more biscuits into the biscuit tin. And the investment half use the biscuit tin to take the biscuits out and lure children into paedophilia. So wait. Right. What we're saying is that that's got to stop. And in 8 years' time, you have to buy your own biscuits. That is essentially banking reform.
8 years is too long for banking reform, isn't it? I say let them do it in 2 years, and for every day they go over that, for every account they have, charge them a tenner and send them a letter.
The thing is that we all get very kind of wound up about it, but none of us ever change banks. Do we? We could easily change bank. Why how did you choose your bank in the first place?
Because I went into Lloyd's, I think, first, and they wouldn't accept my passport as a form of identification. Genuinely, I went in with an Irish passport, and your man went, don't think so. And went off, and then came back and said, I'm afraid we can't accept this. And I showed him visas to China, and played that going, well, the Chinese government accepted this as a form, and he went, oh, well, Lloyd's. And he sang the song,
Perhaps the best way to stop the bankers doing anything with our money is to make them... Every time they want to do something, they have to go through a password check. And the question is what their mother's maiden name is, and they'd never be able to answer it because they're all bastards.
It's amazing how many people in Britain's password is actually the word password. That is how stupid a lot of people in Britain are. So if you ever want to crack a code, try password as the first one.
Why would anybody have the password? I mean, that's just stupid. Mine is 6791.
You're right, that's much easier to remember, Hugh. Thank you very much.
Vince Cable has said he's not happy with the 8-year time frame for the banking reforms. But let's face it, Vince Cable isn't happy with any 8-year time frame for anything because he's worried he'll be dead.
I was merely going to say not re-elected, but dead is harsh. Why has George Osborne been dragged into the phone hacking scandal?
Because he was already involved in it in the beginning.
He was formerly friends with someone who ran a prostitution distribution business. This lady claims that she and George Osborne took cocaine together. George Osborne,
he strenuously
denies taking prostitutes' cocaine.
And possibly all other forms of cocaine. We have to legally say that there's no... But he strenuously denies the thing. But she linked him to phone hacking. How, my friend?
Because her number was in Glenn Mulcair, the private investigator, engaged by the News of the World to listen to everybody in the country's phone calls. It was found in his file.
And do you know why I think this is a failed opportunity? This woman ran a high-class escort service and nobody's asked her what she thinks of the 50% tax rate. Because if there's anyone who would have strong feelings of that, it'd be hookers, who after half an hour must be going, geez, I'm doing this for the government now.
Wasn't the agency, it was a specialist agency, wasn't it? It was called Black Beauties.
So, ponies?
No, it was all black women. Were you looking at me like that for?
Is she speaking? I thought you'd find it more polite. I'm happy to look over at Chris while she's speaking, but...
Dance for you, Andy, whilst I was talking.
No, because I said it's called Black Beauties. You look at me like I was about to confess something.
Would you see if you said it's Black Beauties, then we all slowly turned away? It's amazing, isn't it, that they actually found out so much for the phone hacking? Because let's face it, if you've got anything important to say to people, you don't tend to leave it on their answer phone message. You go, oh, call us back, don't you? You don't go, oh, yes, I've booked all those prostitutes in Nazi uniforms and I've buried the body at the bottom of the garden. Anyway, let's hope nobody finds out about this. Call me back.
And I'm on the train.
That's the kind of story you would expect to see, wouldn't you? Hugh Grant's girlfriend says she's on train, she'll be about half an hour. Would Hugh like her to pick up some milk on the way back? Hugh Grant's mum says she doesn't really like talking to these sorts of things, she's going to put your dad on.
There were loads of people who had, like, their phone... Like, Sienna Miller had her phone hacked and said that she had messages that were deleted. Like, who cares? Do you know what I mean? It's not as though she'd missed out on Hollywood film roles.
That Rebecca Brooks is a tough woman, though, isn't she? She was married to Ross Kemp and she beat him up. That is a sad day when you've got to go around visiting gangs all over the world because it's safer than going home.
Well, there was another one, wasn't there, phone hacking this week?
There was, yeah.
Which was David Blunkett,
yeah.
wasn't it? And do you know how they know it was David Blunkett? Because when the phone's answered, there's a dog saying, Dave, it's for you, mate.
Surely he's one of the only ones you didn't need to sort of hack. You could just sneak up and just stand next to him.
That's very good. And you the amount of fake photographs of him doing cocaine, because you just go, in any social situation, just put a plate filled with cocaine. Yeah, but it was mundane, because people just didn't change their codes on the thing, and their argument was, well, it was just there.
I think it's crazy that people don't change their code anyway. Mine's 6791.
It's easy for you to remember, isn't it? Because it's the year you were born, 67, followed by the year you lost your virginity.
Yep, well, I'm pleased about that, because you've made me slightly younger than I actually am.
And it means you've had sex at least once.
OK, David Atman, the points go to Miles, Alba and Andy! Now we play a round called David Williams Swims Through Muck. This game involves Alba, Carl and Miles, so if you could make your way to the performance area, please. This round is a stand-up challenge. I launch a wheel of news, and whoever chooses to stop, one of our performers must step forward and talk about that subject. The winner is whoever I think is the funniest. OK, here we go. The first subject is... kids. Who wants to come in on that? Ava.
What kids want to wear these days is kind of shocking and scary. As a parent of a teenage daughter, I have to always be vigilant. And my daughter was trying to sneak out one day and she had this long coat on. It was done all the way up to the top. And women, we know what that means, right? The ones laughing are slags, because essentially what that means is, it means you're going out half naked, you don't want your mum to see your outfit. So I went, hold it, lady, open the coat. And she opened it. I went, there's no way in hell you're leaving my house dressed like that, because she'd squeezed herself into this lycra mini dress and it was all cleavagey and it had cut-out bits down the side. I was like, did I say you could borrow that? But you have to be vigilant, and you have to warn your kids about the dangers out there. And I warned my daughter, and she turns around to me and she goes, I'm not scared of no weirdo pedo, because I've read I'm more likely to be sexually abused at home anyway. Which is ridiculous, because for a start, I don't find that girl attractive at all.
OK, let's spin the wheel again. And the subject is health. Who wants to come in on that? Miles.
OK, well, health. I have recent experience of the medical profession. My wife and I, we have a little baby, and we had a home birth. If you mention the idea even of a home birth to people of an older generation, they're always instantly terrified, but that's just a generational thing, like racism and not indicating on roundabouts. They don't realise there's another way forward. But I myself, I have to say, quite nervy about the idea. On the one hand, I thought, is our sitting room really the safest place for us to have a newborn child? Right? On the other hand, I did think it would be an excellent opportunity for us to get some new carpets. Perhaps take advantage of our extremely comprehensive home and contents policy. I waited till the head was showing. You've got to be sensitive. And then I tiptoed into the next room and got straight onto the phone to our insurance people. I was excited. I mean, I was giving all the measurements. I'd done them months ago. But they were, a lot of questions. They asked a lot of questions, the insurance people. They wanted to know why my wife had attempted to give birth in every room in the house.
Thank you very much. OK, that leaves us with Carl. Let's see what you've been at with. Let's spin the wheel. The subject is marriage. Away you go.
Right, I recently got married, and it's actually all right. People moan about it. I think it's quite good. The only downside I've found is that I now get extra guilty when I mess up, which I didn't know about. But I learnt this in a baptism of fire when 2 weeks after we got married, I accidentally punched my wife in the face. It sounds worse than it is. I'm not making light of domestic violence. She went to make me a cup of tea, right? Normal sort of stuff. It was her round, right? And I was sitting in the front room watching TV, and I had a fight with a fly. Do you know when a fly is getting around your head and you can't get it? That happened for 5 minutes. She then came back with the teas, and it disappeared. So I thought, I'm not going to tell her. Let's just get on and drink these teas, right? Where you give it like 5 minutes to cool, average tea cooling time, right? These teas are ready to go. She leans for her first sip, but I don't see that, because half a second before she leans, I spot that fly again. And he's coming from the corner of the room, so this time I know what I'm going to do. I'm not even going to look at him, I know he's there, right? I'm going to play it cool. I'm just going to carry on watching the TV. When he gets about there, I'm just going to go, right? I'm in the zone. I'm so in the zone, I don't see my wife lean into the flight path, right? She leans for her first sip of tea, and out of nowhere, I go, I punch her clean on the cheek, right? It's clean as she goes flying onto the sofa. What must I look like to her? We've been married 2 weeks. Right? She's made me a lovely cup of tea, and it looks like I've just punched her in the chops. Right? She's crying on the sofa. I started crying. I've just punched my new wife. And it took me like 5 minutes to calm her down and explain about the fly. And to this day, I just can't believe she bought it.